Okay, we will call the steering committee to order. We're kind of waiting to get a quorum to do the official thing, but we can be discussing the matters that we will be voting on later on. So I'll now turn it over to the mayor.
And tonight is really just confirmation of what you have already discussed in the last two workshops. And I just needed to get a vote and put it in the minutes. It doesn't really go to the commission or anything like that, just nailing down that this body has said, hey, look, this is the plan we want, and we'll push forward with that plan. And I'll give you that overview right quick if I can, too. So the next thing that's going to happen is if you approve the brackets tonight about how this is going to work, then HR has already started their meetings with each department working on the tenure part, finding out if in every department, how long has Johnny actually been in that job. We know how long he's been with the county, but how long has he been in the job. So they're doing that now. Beth is already also working on looking at all of our people out there on what is the going rate out there. She's doing that part. So that part is in process. And so what we'll do tonight is just make sure that the framework of what you want, we'll give that to them as soon as you approve that. They'll come back to us. We'll come back to this committee here and say, hey, here's what it's going to cost you, okay? We'll try to give you 2 or 3 scenarios on paying for it, but at the end of the day, you guys will make a recommendation to the budget committee, and the budget committee will make a recommendation to the county commission, and then the county commission will decide what we do. So that's the process that we're going in. Yes, sir.
Is this not a policy, or is the policy goes through the finance committee?
Exactly. So that we'll have another meeting where we sit down, and anything that needs to be policy, she's going to bring the handbook to the next steering committee meeting that we have, and going to go through each one of those items individually, okay? And then all of that will be, once you'll send that to the finance committee for policy there, anything that needs to be in there. Just the structure of the plan doesn't have to be in policy, but on the things that we're going to talk about today. But anything that does need to be in there, at that next meeting, we'll put in that policy and send it on to finance for policy. Okay? So that is the next meeting that we'll have. Kiana will come and bring the handbook that, and I say the handbook, the policy book that she uses to work the pay plan. She'll bring that, go through each one of those, let you hear those. If you make comments, suggestions, changes, whatever you want to, and then we'll take that. Once that's done, we'll take that and send that to the finance committee for policies there. Anything that needs to be made a policy in that one. Okay? So what? Yes.
Do you have a timeline on all this? So
Timeline?
meaning, okay, if we approve all this tonight.
Yep.
And then we go forward like what you just described.
Uh-huh.
At what point are we going to actually get back the new pay plan with a dollar amount attached to it for us to then try to figure out how we're going to fund this for budget?
So I would say be sometime in February, maybe, somewhere there. Here's what's got to happen. We got to finish the tenure first, okay? And then once you take these items here that we're talking about tonight, the next thing she'll do is find out, okay, and we'll talk about the sheriff's department, what are all those people being paid? She'll go meet them with the sheriff. They will agree on whatever's agreeable there on that, and every other department that we have, all of our employees. Once she gets all of those met with and that done, then they'll be able to figure out the cost, and then we'll come back here.
Okay, but is that just the cost based on the tenure, or is that the cost based on
So we'll.
the changes that were potentially?
That'll be the whole plan, and we'll break out the tenure. That's what I talked about maybe taking it in bits and pieces. We'll have that broken out separately for you.
How long will it take to get the tenure?
Okay.
She's working on that now, and I don't know how long that'll take. But you'll have to have the tenure first. Then you're going to have the updated plan itself, you know, what each job maybe went up compared to what they were on the one that we were going by that was done 2 years ago. Okay? Does that answer your question?
No.
Okay.
All right, how long will it take to get the tenure? Is it a month, or 90 days, or 120 days?
Depends on when the departments get the information back to me. And I understand that we need to be patient because we've asked them to go and research some work that they haven't kept. So I'm trying to be patient and give them,
price is gonna be
Yes, sir.
annually.
Yeah, we'll come back and present it back to you once we get everything figured, all the process figured. Okay? Other questions?
No.
Sir?
No, you go ahead.
Okay, got you. So, sorry. So the things that we're going to vote on tonight are this. What I heard you say was, in between each step of the 16 steps, you want a 2% increase. So that'll be the first thing that we vote on. The next thing that we vote on, you said keep the 16 steps there. So we're going to keep the 16 steps there. That'll be the next thing you'd vote on. The next thing you said was, let's let the employee reach 100% of market, not at year 8 like we were doing, but make it at year 6. So at year 6, step 6, they'll reach the 100% of what market is at that time. Step 6. So that'll be the third thing you vote on. Then, since we're doing the steps and we're doing the tenure, the next thing you'll vote on, you still want to give longevity pay. Because you're kind of taking care of their longevity, sort of with the tenure, but what we heard you say was, yeah, we still want to do that longevity check as well. So on the scale, it'll grade the tenure, but we'll do a longevity check, so that's, you'll just vote on longevity on that one.
But is longevity now is $100 a year?
Yes, sir?
Is that what you're talking about?
So before,
Things
yeah.
not increased.
Not increased it yet, no. So what we done before was we give $100 a year for longevity, and that was how you got paid for your years of service here. We didn't give you years of service based on your tenure. Now we're going to base it on your tenure and give the longevity pay if you want to do that as well. You got that?
I got that.
Okay, sorry.
And steps, how many years each step? I mean, if you go step 3 to 4, is that 2 year or 1 year?
One step, 1 year.
1 step, 1 year, okay.
The next thing you'll vote on is the tenure, which I think everybody has agreed to do. The next thing that we'll vote on would be, if you want to, at year or at step 17, you don't get that 2% increase. So we present it to the committee, maybe that's when you double that person's longevity to $200. So at step 17, 18, 19, and on out, for as long as they're here, you double the longevity from 100 to 200. There's no step there, but it's a year there. Yes, sir?
So, to throw a kink in it, my understanding is it's time in, lack of a better word, time in grade that I get paid on.
Correct.
Longevity, though, I get paid on where I'm at on the step.
Yes, sir.
So if I get promoted and I go from grade whatever, and then I move up a grade, but then take 2 steps backwards,
Still get 100. When you roll off the step and you quit getting the 2%,
right,
that's when the longevity kicks in. The double longevity kicks in.
okay, but I'm gonna be making more money because I've moved up my grade, even
Yes,
though
sir.
I've taken 2 steps back. It's just I still get the 2% raise out
Yes, sir.
until I hit year 16. Then the next year, I don't get any raise, but I get my double longevity.
So every employee that moves off of the step system, that's when they double their longevity.
Okay.
Okay? So, yes, ma'am?
And they will get the one-time bonus check for that 2%.
Explain that, please.
That's right.
So when the employees max out, as it is now, they will get a one-time bonus check that equals 2% of their salary. So they don't move a step because they're maxed out, but they get that one-time bonus check
Every year?
every year.
No. We,
Now, that's what is gonna be voted on if you add the double longevity.
so we took that piece out in our discussion here. So, okay, so we don't have that. So when you quit getting the 2%, you'll double the longevity, but you won't get the 2%. We wasn't giving both. So we took that. That's what we had before and realized it was the same amount of pay all the way through. So you really, wasn't anything, it wasn't anything any different than that, okay? So we took, that piece will not be there. Lauren?
Okay, so I guess I should use the mic. So longevity is just based on the amount of time you've been with the county in general. And if we're going to move people based on where they are within their position itself, that they may hit 17, 18 years with the county, but still be step 5.
Correct.
That was the
So,
question.
right, okay, so at that point, and I guess this is the conversation we need to have. So how do we want to structure that? In that, I guess what was in my head, because I think I kind of was the one who pitched it, was this would be for people who actually end up falling off the scale because they've been here so long and they've been in the same position for so long. Because, I mean, like directors, for example, probably top out. And sometimes there's, positions where there's no place for you to go for advancement. So I wanted to make sure that, because you hit step 16, that you got, some type of a bonus just to say thank you for dedicating so much time to the county. So at that point, that's when I would think that you'd go to the $200.
So the same
But,
answer.
so it would need to be 2 ways then, right? Because okay, so I'm going to make up an example. Yes,
The county 20 years.
right.
Could be. And
Yeah.
as long as,
I get double
Yeah.
longevity, though, at step 17.
Right.
No.
Yes.
No, as long
No.
as you're at top step also, right?
so,
Well, no, because,
Change this then.
right, because at that point, then you're getting both the 2% and you're getting double longevity. I think
Correct.
the intent was to actually reward those people who have been in that same position, hit that cap of step 16, and then their double longevity starts rolling in, as opposed to if you've been with the county, exactly what Mike said, 20-plus years, and you may have been in your job for 6, you're still going to get that 2%.
so we'll make it, this is a discussion that we had earlier. So when I get to, regardless of, I've been here 20 years, and I'm on step 6, and I'm going to step 7, I'm going to get 2%. I may be here 30 years, and I'm on step 15, I'm going to 16, I get 2%.
Right.
Whenever I'm on that system, and I go from step 16 to step 17, that's when I'll start, or you will start doubling their longevity. And
Right.
no matter how many years you've been with me, and I'm going to pay you the amount you've been with me, but until then, until you go off of step 16, you're not going to get double longevity. That's what we talked about.
Right.
I don't care.
I just want to make sure that that's clear, and we need to make sure
Clear
that,
as
exactly.
We can state it. because
Yes.
When I'm long and gone, and somebody else,
Yep.
Yeah.
So really, I agree with you. So really what we need to say here, every year the employee goes past step 17. When he gets on step 17, that's when you double his longevity.
Right.
So step 17. Sir?
Where he is.
Yeah.
You pass 16.
Past 16, step 17, whatever you want to call it. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no 2%.
No 2%, when you stop getting that.
Exceed the maximum step.
Exactly. Yep.
Okay.
That's 16 years double, that's $3,200 to live.
So if you're
I
at
know.
17, it just doubles, 18 doubles, 19 doubles, so that's pretty substantial.
So that,
Oh, I don't think it's not going to double like that. It just means that every year you get $100 for longevity, right? So the following year, so that,
When I was with the county.
Well, hold on.
I kept getting $100 on top of it, just like you would as
Yep.
an employee. So like at 15 years, I'd get $1,500.
right.
I get $100 every year added to that years of service, correct? So then you start to double that, so that's actually, you just gonna get $200 on top of that? Or-
No, that's what, yeah.
So-
Okay, so what it would be, say you're at $1,600 for longevity, right? At step 16. Okay, at step 16, when you hit step 17, you're going to go from $1,600 to $1,800 for your longevity. And then the following year, you'll go to $2,000 for your longevity.
no, it's not true.
Because you're adding
No, let me,
but you're adding $200.
yeah.
200.
I'll make it.
That is
Let me make it, yeah, no, baby, here's the deal. You're going to double the longevity. I get $100 a year right now. If I've been with you 22 years and I'm still on the scale, I'm going to get $2,200. If I'm off the scale, okay, and you double it, I'm going to get $4,400.
Okay, so
You're
then-
doubling the longevity. You're
Okay.
doubling the longevity.
I'm good
So
with that,
regardless of
but
what
that's
number of
not-
years,
I understood what we discussed.
Yep,
That's
yep.
why I was checking.
yeah, double, you go from 100 to 200.
That's a heck of a,
Wait a minute.
Right.
That's a lick if that's what you want to do. Yeah,
Doubling after,
okay?
I thought we were just doubling.
I thought you said,
longevity.
I thought you said not 100, but $200 a year not
Yep.
double the total that you had at the time.
Right.
You said, don't, $100 a year, it goes to $200 a year.
It was a $200. So,
Work 20 years, you get 2,000.
But not times.
And the 21st year, if you're on step 17, you get 2,200.
so what you're saying is, when I get to when I get off the scale at the 17th step, and I've got 20 years in at year 16, or step 16, and I go to 21, you're saying give them $100 for the 20 years and give them $200 for the next year.
Yeah,
That's
Right.
what you're saying.
yeah, that's why, I thought that's what it said.
That's what I thought we were doing too.
Now, what we had proposed,
So you're gonna double it to 4,000?
Yeah, well, I think.
so you would give them $200 per year for the year. They wouldn't get a 2% increase at that time. They would get double the longevity. But if you want to do it that way, you can make that move tonight too.
Well, that's why I thought that, what it read, but
Yeah. No, we just doubled the longevity, so, because you wouldn't get any percentage increase at all.
so if you have 2,000, you're gonna give them a $2,000 raise for that next year.
Exactly, because they've been with you 20 years. They're not going to get a percentage increase of 2%. That would be what they would get if you want to do that.
So if you give them a 2% raise and say they're making 100,000, that's $2,000. But if they're making 50, that's only $1,000.
Yeah, and the conversation was, remember, I'm going to stop the scale at 16. Now, I'm here, been with you 17 years, and what are you doing for me? Didn't even give me a 2%. So that's where the conversation was, okay, well, let's compensate those people there. And so that's where the conversation said, well, just double their longevity. But if you just want to double it for that year, that's a smaller, that'd be a $100 increase. That's what they would get at the end of the day, per year.
It'd be $200 each year rather than,
But it'd be $100.
say they're here the next year, okay? Now they have 4,000. The next year, do they get 8?
No, just that 1 year doubled.
And then it stays at 4?
Every year you get 200 more, added to what you got the year before.
Okay, so if you are at 20 years, you got $2,000, $2,000, so the next year you get 4,000, but after that, you would get 4,200.
Yes.
Mayor,
Yes, sir? You just doubling the, yes, sir.
this may be a question for Kiana as well.
Yes.
Do you have any idea how many county employees we have with at least 15 years?
Thank you.
I didn't know to have that information, but I can get that information.
25 now.
We got several tenured employees. Yeah, we got several they're on the far end. Yeah.
What kind of numbers we're talking?
Well, and that's the deal. When we bring you back the cost of this, that'll be in there. You may say, we can't afford that, let's leave that out of there and don't do anything for them after they come off the step. I mean, we'll bring back the cost of each one of these increments, and then you can make that call at that time if you want to. Or you can change it tonight on the $200.
Instead of using the word double,
Uh-huh.
why don't you just say after starting with year 17, you get an additional $100 per year
Yes.
instead of double? The word double is what's confusing people, I think.
Well, he said double, he goes $2,000, $4,000.
So,
Talking about what I'm talking
do
about.
that in simple math. 17 year, my 17th year, I get $1,800.
Yes.
My 18th year, I get $1,900.
No, you get 3,600,
No,
because he's gonna double it. He's gonna double it.
Let me walk through it.
I'm not going to vote for that.
Yeah.
I'm not either.
So let me,
I'd rather give him $300 a year after that and no 2% increase.
all right, let me walk through it one more time.
We did a chalkboard.
I know.
So let's just say this, let's just say right now, without going to Mike's scale of somebody having more years than not, let's just say, we're gonna stick with the employee that started with me from day one, and so on year 17 with me, okay, with y'all, he has come off the chart. So next year, he was making 50,000, okay? So the next year, he's still gonna make 50,000 because he didn't get a 2% bump. So what do we do for that guy? Well, he's been with me 17 years, so I know I'm gonna give him $1,700 for longevity. And what we said was, what if you just give him an extra 100 for every year he served with me? So now instead of getting that 1,700, he gets 3,400. That's a pretty good lick. I agree with that. So if you don't want to, so that is what we talked about doing. We said double the longevity. Instead of getting $100 per year, get him $200 a year. If you don't want to do that, then you could say, like was brought up here, in year 17, he gets his $1,700 normal, and you just doubled his year 17. So he gets 200 that year. So now he gets $1,600 because he's been with me for 16 years at $100. Year 17, give him 200 more that year. So I'm gonna get 1,800. And then, okay, so at year 18, I'm gonna get 1,600 plus the 200 here and the 200 here. Okay, so that's 400 more.
Right.
Okay, that make sense?
Yeah,
So
I
if
think
that's,
that's the intent.
yeah.
Yeah, that's what we
Okay.
understood.
So if that's what you want to vote on, then you just let me know that, and we'll make, that'll be what we do.
Well,
If you think the other is too costly.
Wendell was correct, we need to take this double out of the conversation.
Yeah.
Well, well, you could say that, but you could also want to double, I mean, you're going to double that 17th step.
You're gonna give them $200 instead of $100.
Yeah, you're going to double the 17th step, or you could say 200. Okay, all right, so let's go that route. Let's just say on year 17, going forward, I get 200 for every year.
That's correct.
That's correct.
Okay, so we'll say it like that. Is that good?
Yeah, well, I think that's what.
Or you could even give them 300,
happened.
because they're not getting the 2%.
Right? I mean, if you think,
That's a lot less than doubling the
For sure.
400.
so we'll say 200
Okay.
Yeah.
for longevity for year 17, 18, 19, and on down the line.
So am I looking at it, tell me if I'm looking at it right then. Year 17, they'd get $1,800. Is that right?
Correct. 1,600
Okay.
for the first 16 years.
18, they'd get $2,000.
Right,
Year 19, they'd get $2,200.
right.
Is that what we're talking about?
Yes,
1,600.
That's what I thought it was to begin with.
yes.
So year 17, you're going to get how much?
1,800.
1,800. Year 18?
2,000,
That's right. So you're going up $200 per year.
right.
And then 2,200, then 2,400, and then 2,600.
Yes, sir. So you just go up 200 each year.
So really, you're getting $100 for the first 16 years,
Yep.
and then every year after that, you're just getting 200
Yes, sir.
Longevity.
for longevity.
Yep.
But that's if
Added
you're at the
to,
top of the
added
scale.
to the 1,600.
Yep.
What?
Added to the 1,600.
Exactly.
So if you
Correct.
went from
Yep.
16 to 26, that's 10 years, so that would be $2,000 added to 1,600.
So 200 every year after that is what you're going to get. Yeah. Okay?
And this is after they hit step 16, in whatever position.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Okay.
As long as they're on the chart, they don't get it. Yep.
But if they're in like tier 6, though, they're not.
Well, they're not there yet.
Not there yet.
They're not there.
Can I ask another question?
Yes, sir.
And it's a little bit different, but you guys have probably been here 10 years.
Yep.
Leave go to the state, like Lance Howell did, not to mention your names, 10 years. And then you come back, where does their longevity start at that point in time?
Where left off at.
Plan show for that.
Handbook says,
It goes back to where they were, so if they had 10 years, when they come back and they work another
In
year,
year
they
11.
get 11.
okay.
Just
Yes, sir.
one more question, just to make sure I understand it. It's not, it's when you get off the pay scale, so it doesn't matter if you've been here 30 years.
Doesn't matter. Just when you get out that pay scale.
Still getting my $100
Yes, sir.
for my 30 years,
Yes, sir.
but I don't get $200 till I hit step 17 on the pay scale.
Yeah.
But you get 2%.
Okay,
The $200 just takes the place of the 2% increase.
$200 per year
Yep.
above step 16.
correct.
But if you're at 30 and you're not out of that, you still get your 2%.
Yeah, you get 2% plus the 100. That's your step
Yeah.
7.
What's that?
If you're step 6 and been here 30 years, you get your 2% plus $100 for 10 years.
Plus $100 for longevity. Yep. Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Good discussion. Anything else?
It seems like it'd be,
Good thing is it's being recorded.
Outstanding.
The key to it is gonna be
Yeah.
the price tag that comes back.
Sure.
That's gonna be.
Well, at the end of the day, it's going to be about if we can afford it.
Is our revenue gonna continue to cover that? And the growth of county government, you know, offset that
Tyler's been preaching.
revenue also.
True.
Sheriff has to put on 20 more deputies,
Are you willing to raise that?
and that, we might need to get a prediction from each department on what they think they need to have
Are you
time to
willing
out.
to raise that?
Employee, right?
Well, but I know one thing that we looked at, and we don't have those numbers, but probably the sheriff's department's the largest department. They were front-end loaded more than back-end loaded. They had a whole lot more people with less number of years than they did people with 10-plus years.
Okay.
So I think that sheet, I think you had a sheet that had everybody,
I did, you're right.
so when you think about it that way, and the turnover, and people leaving and coming, and so I don't,
That's true too. I think of Weeman, and
Weeman's
they're running two-man stations. You take a fire truck, we take an ambulance, some of them got on, depending on who's out there, you know what I'm saying? But at some point in time, Joe needs to say, okay, in the next 5 years, I'm gonna need another 15 people, another 20 people, whatever. That needs to be rolled to get the whole cost of this thing, what our growth will be 5 years out, 10 years out. We got enough stations right now, really, I think, we need stations scattered around county, maybe a hole somewhere.
What else we voting on tonight?
What's Floyd would call it.
We're going to vote to compare, Bobby brought this up, I think, 40% private, 60% public, instead of the 50/50 what we did before. We were doing 50% public and private, now you want to go 40% private and 60% public as we look at those benchmarks. And then the last thing that we'll vote on will be, do you want to add anybody to the benchmarks, city or counties, other than what we have already? And I think we have our regular group, and then I think Commissioner Chandler had brought up, should we add Metro and the airport? I don't think anybody else, but those two for sure is what we'll vote on. Do you add that? Commissioner Glover, thanks for coming so we can actually make this happen. Okay. Yes, sir.
is this the list too, that
Yes, sir.
you emailed out?
Yes, sir. So anybody you want to add to that list, then that's what you would make on this vote in just a minute. Okay?
Can you read it off?
Can we take people away?
Doesn't, your call on any of that.
You guys have copies? I can go run copies real quick.
I don't have passed yet. I got it. Blount County, Clarksville, Gallatin, Hendersonville, Laverne, Lebanon, Maury County, Montgomery, Mount Juliet, Murfreesboro, Putnam, Robertson, Rutherford, Sevier, Smyrna, Sumner, and Williamson. Williamson?
Nashville on there? No.
Well, that's
No.
what we were,
Yeah, that would be what you'd want to add, if you want to add that.
at it. These are the ones, my understanding, benchmarks used in the past,
Yes.
is what these are.
Compared to now.
Commissioner?
We add Nashville Police Department, Nashville Metropolitan, and also the Nashville Airport.
So when we get ready to vote, you'll just make that addition and we'll do that. Yes,
Well, I wanted to take some away, but we can talk about it
17
when we vote.
plus
okay.
19.
Are we ready to go back now and vote on these items?
And these are the ones she says that we take the median, 40, 60, and then we look at of all of these, public, private, in these counties and cities, right?
And then she has some, and then-
And then we look at the median of those.
yes, sir.
And that becomes our 100%
Yes, sir.
at year 6.
Yes, sir.
When you say vote, you're saying we vote to agree with, have comparative analysis to those entities.
Yes, sir.
We're not voting on anything, else, no tax increase, or no
Oh, no,
panel,
no.
cost on the claim. We vote
Yeah,
just,
yeah,
we use those as comparative analysis.
yeah.
Is that okay, Dan?
Okay, Jerry.
That's what you're trying to say, right?
So we'll start, I will lay out the topic and then let Commissioner Fields run the vote from there, okay? So the first one would be,
Say this, if everybody's good on the 8, except for adding some people to the list, why don't you just do them all at once?
okay. So I'm going to make the statement and then you can take the vote. 2% between each step, 16 steps, 100% of market at step 6, to give credit to every employee for the tenure they've worked in that particular job, to give them still longevity pay like you're doing today, to increase the longevity pay $200 when the employee reaches step 17 or comes off of the chart to step 17, which doesn't exist, I got it. But you'll do $200
No 2% increase.
and no 2% increase. 40% private, 60% public. And in the benchmark cities and counties, what I heard you say you would like to add to the list that we have is Metro and the Nashville Airport. And then if you want to take any away,
I want to take out Blount County and Sevier County, because they're in East Tennessee, so I don't know why we're benchmarking.
Can we vote on the top 7 if we agree on it?
Yeah. Well, and I've got a question about number 3, too.
Wait, Keanu got a comment about Sevier County.
Yep.
So the benchmarks that are further out are because we need a good mix of numbers for the jobs. Not all city and counties have all of the jobs that we have. And so you don't want to change the benchmarks too much to where when she's comparing numbers, like say you got a fire marshal job and it's only 2 other places that have a fire marshal. So then you're stuck with either taking the highest or the lowest. So you want to have a good mix. So some of our benchmarks are further out, but it's because they compare well to our jobs.
Okay.
leave them in there.
I understand the logic behind it. I just don't know if if the salaries in those, and you can answer this, if the salaries in those 2 locations would be comparable to what we would need to pay in Middle Tennessee.
Well, Sevier County is good because of the tourists, so their wages are a little bit higher than what you would think because of the county side, because of the tourist population.
Okay. What about Blount County though? 'Cause,
I
that's
think
very
they
low.
are just because they have comparable jobs to ours.
Okay. Okay, I'm good with it.
So you're good? Commissioner Smith?
Just a question, would Metro help take care of Sevier? Would it wash Sevier out?
Well, Metro is gonna get us on the higher end, so again, you kind of want a good mix. You want some high, some lows, and some good middles. While we're on that, I'm thinking the airport might be considered private. I don't know if it's public. It might be a private industry.
So they could be our 40% private?
Right.
Got you.
It is.
Okay.
No tax money goes to the airport.
Pardon?
No tax money goes to that
You
airport.
talking about the
It's
airport?
airport authority. It's under Metro, but
B&A,
it's
there's,
private.
it's private, it's all private.
It is under Metro, but it is private. It's the airport authority.
Airport authority.
Used to work there.
Everything is funded within the airport.
Got you. So on the benchmarks, we're only adding Metro and B&A. Anything else anybody wants to add to that? Everybody good with those things that we just said?
I think she says, is it proper to add the private, like B&A is the?
We got, you know,
Add that?
But we're doing 40%.
Was B&A really
I think
private or?
it's in their private list, but I can check with Beth to make sure that they have the airport in their private list, and if not, if they can add it.
Okay, very
yeah,
good.
so we'll add that.
They're not private necessarily. They're an enterprise public entity.
Mr. Chairman,
The airport authority runs the airport, it's private.
I make a motion to agree with that.
A second.
I second, okay.
We all agreeing with
Everything we just read,
off thus far.
with 1 through 8
1 through 8.
and adding in Metro and Nashville Airport.
Yes, sir.
Does everybody understand the motion?
Yeah.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Okay,
And we do have a second.
I got a question.
I did.
Sorry. Number 3, where we did 100% market at step 6, can we also have a chart created for step 8, being 100% market? And again, trying to figure out what we can and can't afford.
Comparative analysis.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to have both options if we're gonna do this, because I wanna make sure that we can, I wanna compensate our employees the best that we're able to do so within our means and what our taxpayers are able to afford. So with that in mind, I think that if we go back and do the step 8, in addition to the step 6 charts, we have 2 options to try to figure out monetarily what we can cover.
Can that be a second motion?
Why don't you make a motion to amend it?
I don't want to amend it. Let's vote on this one first, and if we want to add that to it, we can.
Let me see if I can help you on that. I'll talk with Beth to see if she could tell me if we move from 6 to 7, what's that cost? And that way you could figure out if you, wherever you want to move them to. We'll see if we can find out what the cost is to move that 100% from one step to the next. And that way you would know as you start looking to try to fund it, well, we could save, $500,000 if we did this. And that would,
That answers my question.
yeah,
Yep.
we'll do that. All right?
So you gonna bring numbers back?
When I'm going to bring numbers back. We get the tenure done, they meet with all the departments. As soon as that gets done, we'll have every department in here, have them shake their head, they're good with what we got. We'll present those numbers to you at that time, and then let y'all start working on it. As soon as we can get it back to you, we're going to get it here.
Call for the question.
Yeah.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, so,
We're still in remark period, we're not?
Now we've called for the question.
I second it. Call for the
we've had a motion, and we've had a second. All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Same sign. Motion carries.
Next time we get together, we'll go over the policy handbook as soon as we get an opportunity to do that with everybody. Anything else you need me to do?
What we voted
Can we get a pay raise?
is clarify the direction which we're going forward.
Yes, sir.
Try to-
Yes, sir. It is the plan, really. And then now you can figure out whether you can afford it or not.
see what it costs.
That's right. Anything else from me?
Motion to adjourn.